Welcome to my channel where an HOA president keeps knocking on the door. But security footage shows nobody was there. Our next Reddit post is from a toast to our home. My wife and I moved into a new home in August 2020 after selling our old home. The house had been empty for about 6 months, and the previous owner had left it pretty dirty. So we had to do a ton of work before we could move in. We made arrangements with a local handyman who did most of the work for us. While we did the things we were capable of doing ourselves, he did everything from painting all the walls to fixing the broken blinds. He even put up shelves in the pantry for us, and he cleaned out the gutters as well. It took him nearly 2 weeks to finish everything. On the day he was supposed to finish, I came home from work early because I was taking a long weekend off. I went into the garage to check on him, and he said that he was waiting for me so we could do a final walkthrough together. As we were walking through the house, he pointed out a few minor things that needed attention, and I told him to just take care of them. I didn't want to be bothered with those small details. Later that evening, while I was washing the windows, my wife was talking to our handyman on the phone. She said she was just calling to see if he finished everything, and he told her that he did. He then asked if he could come back and do some more work, and she told him that we weren't going to be needing any more of his services. He asked why, and she told him that I had already started doing the little things he mentioned earlier. He tried to convince her that he could do it faster and better than I could, and that I probably wasn't doing it correctly. She told him that I would handle those types of decisions, and that he should just stop by another day and ask me directly instead of calling her at home. He got mad and hung up on her. The next night at around 9 p.m., I heard someone pounding on the front door. I looked out the window and saw that it was our handyman. I ignored him and went back to watching TV. He started pounding again, and I opened the door and yelled at him to leave. He proceeded to tell me that he was trying to get in touch with my wife, and I told him that she was busy. He said that he had questions about a few items on the punch list that we had given him, and I told him to go home. He left, and I closed the door. About 10 minutes later, I heard pounding again, and I opened the door ready to explode. When I opened the door, it was our neighbor. She asked if everything was okay because she had heard yelling. I told her that it was fine and to mind her own business. She said okay and walked away. At this point, I went back to watching TV. My wife was now home and sitting next to me. About 15 minutes later, we heard pounding again, and my wife yelled out to me, "It's that idiot again." She then went to the window to look out. She called out to me, "He's climbed into the bushes in front of the house." So I got up and went to the window to look. I could see that our handyman had climbed into the bushes on the side of the house and was looking through the front window at us. My wife and I both started laughing hysterically. I don't think either of us had ever laughed so hard at that point in our lives. We decided to ignore him and just let him sit there until he got tired and left. Well, he stayed there for hours. At one point, he started banging on the window. Then he got up and tried the front door. My wife and I continued to laugh and watch him try every entry into our home. He tried the garage door, the sliding glass doors onto the patio, the back door, and finally gave up and left. After they left, my wife and I looked at each other and burst out laughing again. I immediately got on my laptop and checked the Ring cameras. The handyman had entered our property 3 times during this fiasco. Once through the front gate, once through the garage, and once through the back gate. The next morning, I got on the Ring app and pulled up the footage from the night before. I was able to capture the handyman entering the property through the front gate. He had tried the front door and then went around to the garage. He tried to open the garage, noticed that it was closed, and 10 lift. He then came back and entered the backyard through the back gate. He walked around to the back door and tried it several times. After failing to get in, he tried the front door again. He then went back to the front window where he spent the majority of his time. At one point, he even looked directly at the camera. I wish I had gotten that part on video. I took screenshots of him on the Ring camera and posted them on Facebook Marketplace. Later that day, I got a message from the guy who does our garbage and recycling pickup. He messaged me to ask if I needed him to come pick up our handyman's truck, because he had seen the post and knew who the truck belonged to. He also mentioned that he had seen him in the neighborhood several times. This handyman had apparently been letting himself into people's houses, stealing their stuff, and then leaving before they came home. Apparently, he'd even stolen a couple of his customers' cars while they were on vacation. That same day, I filed a police report. Our sheriff's office informed me that there were several other reports of a handyman stealing from people and letting himself into their homes. They also informed me that there was a warrant out for his arrest for the car thefts. When they arrested him, they found out that he had been living in his truck and that he used aliases when he did jobs for people. Because of this, none of the people who had hired him had any way of knowing who he really was. Thankfully, we had taken screenshots of his license plate and had it on hand when the cops came to talk to us. They matched the license plate number to the handyman's truck. The sheriff's office also told us that because we had caught him on camera multiple times and had the video footage, that we had a very strong case against him. However, because we had not actually lost anything and nothing had been stolen from us, they couldn't press charges for burglary. Instead, they charged him with loitering or prowling, which carried a hefty fine and 30 days in jail. OP, I am glad that this story has a happy ending. The only thing that would have made it better is if, instead of pressing charges, you had just done what Judge Judy does and sentenced him to cleaning your house. I'm sure there are plenty of things that still need to be cleaned. Our next Reddit post is from Layman. I moved into a new apartment about a year ago, and since then I've been hearing noises in the middle of the night. Loud footsteps, heavy banging, constant shaking, like someone moving furniture. All of this always happens between 2 and 4 a.m. I originally assumed that it was just my upstairs neighbor, but after speaking with them, and they claimed to have no idea what I was talking about, I began investigating further. I set up a trail camera and left it rolling overnight. The footage showed a person walking through the apartment above me and then moving large objects around. The person was definitely not my neighbor. He had dark, short hair, was athletic, and was wearing a black t-shirt and gray shorts. I showed the footage to my neighbor, and he confirmed that it wasn't him. He was shocked and scared and suggested that I call the cops. I called the non-emergency line and filed a report, but they never seemed particularly concerned about it. I even emailed the complex manager about it, but I never received a response. I was afraid to keep leaving my camera out overnight, because it was getting damaged by water, so I stopped monitoring the situation for a few months. A few weeks ago, I heard the commotion again, and I got fed up with it. I contacted my city council member, and he helped me file a complaint. The city then sent out an inspector to examine the apartment above mine. His inspection revealed excessive noise and vibrations coming from the unit above me. Unfortunately, due to privacy laws, he couldn't tell me exactly what he heard or saw, but he did say that it was bad enough to issue a warning. The city notified the apartment complex, and the complex notified my upstairs neighbor, who promptly emailed me to let me know that he was moving out within a few days. Problem solved. So, yeah, this story has a happy ending too. The guy probably wasn't doing anything too crazy. He was probably just playing Dungeons and Dragons with his friends at night. You know, the only problem with that is D&D isn't a quiet game. That was my channel. And if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also hit that subscribe button because I put out new videos every single day.